Alright guys, so today we're going to learn about how to create a game piece. We're going to open up Inventor Pro and start a standard part file. We're going to create our first 2D sketch. Just follow along with me. Remember, you can pause the video if you get stuck. I'm going to pick this plane right here, this XY plane, because that's how we most naturally view things. You can draw on the other ones, but I think you'll find it easiest to draw on the XY plane if we're drawing this profile that we're going to revolve. So we're going to focus on a couple tools today. It's going to be the trim tool up here in the 2-dimension and the revolution tool, which you may have gone over yesterday. For now, we're going to focus on the profile of the piece. We're going to create the axis of the middle of the piece first. We're going to make that an inch long. So you're going to drag this down here. You can type in 1, hit enter, and it'll make a 1-inch line. From here, we want the diameter of the bottom of the piece to be a half of an inch, but since we're doing half of that, we're going to go with a quarter of an inch or 0.25. Enter again, and then we're going to add a little piece where it can sit on top of that. I'm going to make that 0.05. From here, you can hit escape. Okay, so this is the middle of the piece and the bottom of the piece where it sits. We're now going to create the actual piece itself. So I've grabbed the circle tool. I'm going to make a round top tool. When I come down, it doesn't really matter how far down here. We're going to fix that later. Create the circle, drag it up. Once you see that green dot, you know you're on the place. We're going to click that. Alright, but because we're revolving, we don't need this left half of the circle. So we're going to use the trim tool. When you click trim, and you click the piece you want to chop off, it gets rid of that half of it. So we see that we still have the other half of the circle that we're going to use here. Also going to make this look like a curved line here that connects these two pieces. So for that, I'm going to go to the spline tool and show you guys how to use that. You're going to connect it somewhere on the circle. You don't want it to be here because then we won't actually have anything connecting the circular piece to the rest of the body. But right around here on the corner is fine. We're going to click once there. Go about halfway down the piece, and you'll see these dotted lines show up. It means you're lined up with the outer edge of the circle and halfway through the straight up and down axis. So when you see these black lines show up, click once again, and then you're going to bring it down to here. Click again, and from here you can click this checkpoint. Notice we don't have a very round one here. I'm going to try to make this more round, so I'm going to redo that. I'll hit escape to get out of the tool. And we'll try that again. We'll go to the edge here. And I'm going to line it up with this one, but I'm going to go past halfway on this so that we can get a little more of a curve. I'm going to go kind of down this way. Click, and then click again once I reach this green dot point here. From here, I'm going to move the mouse around. You can see it changes it. But if I don't click again, I just click the check. It'll save what I have. It's created this line here. Okay? We're then going to trim one more time. I'm going to trim this little piece right off here. Now we've got what looks like half of a 2-dimensional version of the game piece. From here, we're going to finish our sketch. We will then use the revolution tool. So the first thing we have to do is select the profile. That's the pieces that we're actually going to revolve. So that's going to be the whole piece. Secondly is the axis. That's the part where it's going to spin around. That's going to be this middle piece so that if I revolve around it, it becomes fully 3-dimensional. When I click it, I want to see full here, and so I know that that is a fully dimensioned and revolved piece. If it looks correct, you're going to hit the checkpoint here. And you have a very basic game piece that you could use in a game like Sorry, something like that. From here, though, you know, if you're making this for a client and it's a children's game, we've got a lot of sharp edges on here, so we're going to have to use the fillet tool. Fillet tool is here, and what that does is it rounds out some of those sharper edges. And so I'm going to click that. In the drop-down box, we see the radius of the fillet. Because we're working with a small piece, when we click it, a 0.125 has a very drastic effect on that. So if we do that again, fillet, look at from how sharp to how round that goes. That's a little bit much. So if it's too round, we edit this number to be smaller here. So I'm going to go with 0.0625. And even that looks a little bit big, so I'm going to go with 0.05. Better, still a little big, 0.01. I think I like that better, so I'm going to keep that. But it's still going to dull it down, and then we see the finish changes, not so sharp on the edges anymore. Okay, not so sharp there. We're going to do the same thing with the bottom. We're going to fillet that. Fillet this edge. 0.01 should do the trick, except that we're going to be laying this on a flat thing, so I might half that. So instead of 0.01, I might go 0.005. Check that. It'll still lay flat, but no sharp pieces on it. So we've got a nice piece here, rounded edges. You may notice, though, that right here we've got a nice sharp edge connecting the piece, the body of the piece, to the circular part. And so we're going to try to change that as well. If I click the face right here, it looks like the 0.05 is going that way. We might not want to do that necessarily. We might want to go back to that 0.01. See how that affects it. Looks like it's going to connect all right, so we'll check that. And now we have nice round edges everywhere. All right, from here, you can just go through and customize your piece. You'll be able to click on the materials. So up here, I'm going to change my piece actually to glass, and now you can see it becomes clear. We can also change the color of the glass, so I might change that to clear green. And so we've got a glass green piece. You can see the piece through the bottom, through the top. And you don't have to necessarily make it out of glass. You can always choose one of the plastics. So if I use PPF plastic or PET plastic, it changes how this piece looks. It changes from clear to maybe a cool white piece. Changes the appearance of the piece, and there's our home view. And it shows us the entirety of the piece. Don't forget, if you get stuck, you can always ask questions. Finally, we're going to go up here and save our piece. So we click the save. Then if you go into your engineering folder, probably you've created that already. I'll save this as game piece. Save it. And then I want you guys to email that to me as an attachment. Remember, if you have any questions, just ask.